Welcome back to our continuing coverage of Super Typhoon Haiyan. I am Julius Lars de Castro, live at CNN Hong Kong. We're tracking the path of this monster storm as it roars across the central Philippines. Millions of people being affected by one of the strongest storms ever to make landfall. It could end up setting a record, but that could be days before from being determined by scientists. Sustained winds have lessened a bit, but still nearly 300 kilometers an hour right now. The major concern is of course keeping those in spot safe. At least 3 deaths have been blamed on Haiyan so far. Landslide and flooding are the major concerns, and the government of eastern state says all roads are impossible. They are due to fallen trees. Haiyan is moving quickly to the west, and forecasters say it should be over South China Sea in just a few hours, heading for another landfall, but this time in Vietnam. Well, last hour, we spoke with Joe Curry on the phone. He's with Catholic Relief Services on Bohol Island, which is about 1,200 kilometers southeast of Manila. It's still recovering from a major earthquake experience last month.
Bohol, we've had mainly wind and rain. Tropical storm force winds in the northern part. Our concern in Bohol is mainly in the earthquake-affected areas. There was a 7.1 magnitude earthquake in mid-October, which left about 350,000 people displaced. So we're looking to see what happens now. Families evacuated from emergency shelters in the last 2 days to take coverage in stronger shelters, but there are still tremors going on in Bohol occasionally, and there's still a lot of fear. So the typhoon is one on top of the other.
Yeah, because it's one on top of the others, you're saying then, of course, with the earthquake as well, in terms of the resources, does the region where you are right now, do you have what you need?
Well, humanitarian agencies are mobilizing. The challenge here is just the expansiveness of the storm. The storm is not slowing down. Leyte was hit this morning. We're sure to hear more information coming out from the eastern Visayas probably in the next couple of days, but communication is down too. As the storm crosses the country, it's impacting hundreds of thousands of people. If we can use last year's super typhoon Bofa as an example, over 70,000 houses destroyed and tens of thousands of people displaced. And this typhoon can impact a much more expansive area in central Philippines.
It been where you are right now, is there a sense that obviously this is because of how expansive and how ferocious this storm really is? It's hard to say that people could be used to storms, but because we've had so many storms over the year in itself or over the years, what kind of precautions do people actually take? Is there a sense at all that they're thinking, here is another one?
Visayas, they know to evacuate. The government's been pushing a lot to make mass evacuations, and people generally go to schools, churches, other government buildings when they can. The question is, are they strong enough to hold up to 300-kilometer winds? Last year when we saw this in Mindanao, many families weren't able to evacuate because they lived in rural areas and they didn't have evacuation centers. And even those who had evacuation centers, they were destroyed because of the force of the typhoon. And if we see similar strength in this typhoon, it could be catastrophic.
Can you describe for us what you are seeing right now where you are?
Bohol was further south of the typhoon, so our rains was mainly heavy. We've had reports of flooding in the northern part, especially in the earthquake areas. We're still waiting to get more news, but in some of the earthquake-affected houses, the houses that were damaged, some of those are falling down now because of the winds.
Our coverage of Super Typhoon Haiyan continues throughout the day here on CNN. For now, let's take you back to Atlanta for more on other news.